One of the biggest lessons that I recently got is that our life's foundation should be built on self love and self respect because everything, absolutely everything, flows from that place. And before I go deep into the video, I just want to say that I created a Discord community. It's a very small community, there's no people in there, so at first it's going to be very slow. There's not going to be a lot of activity and stuff, but if you would like to support me, join a community, stay patient. I'm going to try my best to build a community, make it more fun. We will be able to connect better. We will be able to talk about my video ideas and all that stuff, behind the scenes. If you watch my previous videos, you already know my story, but for the people whose first time being here, I will give you like a little backstory, okay? So, for the past year, I really wanted to fit in with the people of my age, and I'm not saying that I'm like a very outsider type of guy, but I wanted to fit in with the cool kids. I wanted to be like a bigger part of them. But I was always the type of young guy, I could say young kid, that's being focused on different kind of things. I started reading books very early. I started my self-development journey very early. I used to be very disciplined from a young age. I used to play football, and that football discipline kind of leaked into my life. And a lot of peers my age were, they like to party, they like to do stuff, but I don't know, it's not like I absolutely didn't like those things, but I didn't feel the attraction that they felt. I feel like I always had a bigger vision for my life. But as I was growing up, I kind of wanted to experience more from life. I've been on this journey of self-development, discipline, building my body, building my mind. And then I used to look at my parents' life. When they were my age, they used to go party, they used to have fun. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I need to try something new too. What if this self-development thing is just an illusion? What if it's not actually the way to live my life? So I started hanging out with this group of people. I started really changing who I am as a person. I started really performing. And when I say that I started changing myself, I don't mean just like in a shallow type of way. It's not like the way that I talk, the way I did stuff, what jokes I used to say. No, I mean like actually try to change myself. I tried to completely transform my values, my beliefs, my everything. It's a long story, but I just tried to become a completely new person. Now, by me trying to change myself so much, my entire persona was not built on self-respect and self-love. I just try to fit in with the people's expectations, of what is cool, what music I should listen to, what should I like, what should I, just all that bullshit, respectfully. And at first I was thinking that, damn, I'm making progress. I mean, I'm getting validation from people, everybody's liking me, and I feel great. I thought finally I'm becoming confident in life. Finally, people see me as a cool guy. You feel me? And I was like, maybe this is the secret to having confidence in life, because I truly felt on top of the world. But then school started, we started going to school. I started kind of hanging out with different people again, people from my class. I stopped getting as much validation, like everything started kind of calming down, and I started feeling very bad. I'm like, yo, why am I not getting any more validation? I used to think that confidence comes from other people's validation. So I tried to change myself even more. And I really went this downward spiral and experienced one of the lowest points in my life. Truly, I lost myself. I didn't know my purpose. Like, I truly didn't have an intuition. It was even hard to feel my own emotions because I feel like I tried to override who I am as a person so much that I absolutely didn't feel like myself. I felt like I was watching my life from the third person view. I mean, it's just a very hard thing to explain because now that I look back, I didn't actually feel like I was living that life, if it makes sense. It's a very weird feeling. If you haven't experienced it, you don't know how it feels. But if you have, it's a very weird, a very uncomfortable feeling, unexplainable, truly. Yeah, I didn't know what was happening. I didn't have opinions. I couldn't really stand for myself. I couldn't really think for myself. It was just I felt like I was just a neutral human being. It's hard to explain. I just didn't feel like I was somebody, if it makes sense. And at first I looked at that moment as a very unfortunate part of my life. Now that I started reading my Bible every single morning and praying, I feel like my life has been slowly changing, and I started looking at this moment in a different light. Before, I used to look at it as yeah, I was going the downward spiral. It was bad, I hope it never happens again in my life. But there's so many lessons in that. Truly, I feel like God was like, you know what, Noah, you got to become stronger. I will give you some hard moments. Right now, if I would go back and have a choice to either erase that whole thing or keep it, I would actually keep it. I'm not gonna lie, because it really strengthened my character. It really gave me a lot of lessons. For a very long time, I didn't really understand what self-respect and self-love means. I didn't understand the importance of it. And I was going through my life kind of like trying to people please, trying to get validation of others. And it wasn't on extreme level, so it didn't affect my life in a very bad way. But now that I experienced the extreme spectrum of trying to get validation and trying to please other people, I really understood how much it costs you to not have self-respect and self-love. Real confidence comes from inside. Real confidence comes from the inside when no external things can affect your confidence. If you feel like your confidence is like very unstable, some days you feel more confident, some days you feel less confident, and you just cannot figure out why you're feeling the way you feel, I'm gonna tell you this thing: your confidence is most likely external, because when you have internal confidence in who you are as a person, you are firm. You're like a stone. I'm not saying that nobody can hit you, like sometimes you may sway a little bit, but you know that you have this internal confidence. You will just get back on track. Honestly, my number one value in life right now is self-love and self-respect. Not in an arrogant way of like, oh yeah, look at me, I'm the best in the world. No, in a grounded way. Because I realized another thing. When you make decisions out of self-love and self-respect, those decisions will actually benefit you in your life. When you make decisions out of neediness, out of emptiness, that's when you make the worst decisions ever. A lot of people who have had a lot of divorces and stuff, they oftentimes mention that they want a wife to feel better about who they are. And that is a very good example of how making decisions out of neediness and emptiness really makes you make bad decisions. And another thing that I think, this is my opinion, I'm not trying to put it on others, but putting yourself first in life is not a selfish thing. Now you may be thinking, okay, what is he talking about? That is the epitome of selfishness. It is not a selfish thing. You can, imagine yourself as a bucket. Okay, let's say you have a lot of holes. When you put other people, where you put everything above yourself, you're basically just trying to fill everybody out of a bucket that is empty and full of holes. When you start fixing the holes and actually collecting some water, you provide way more value than the bucket who put everybody first. So I truly think that putting yourself first and becoming the best man you can, or the best woman, I don't know who's watching, I think that putting yourself first and becoming the best man you can be will eventually provide way more value for people around you. So I think it's even more selfish to not put yourself first. That's my opinion. I don't know what you think. Type it down in the comments, but that's what I think. But again, I'm very thankful to God that He gave me this moment in life, because truly one of the most important lessons in my life. I never really understood what self-respect and self-love means until I experienced these periods in my life, and I understood what that actually means and how important it is. But what I want to say, bro, live with self-love, live with self-respect, do what makes you happy. At the end of the day, we're different human beings. If you don't like partying, bro, do what you like. You know what I'm saying? Do what you like. Even if people are peer pressuring you, stand for yourself. At the end of the day, I really like this one quote. If the whole world will be against you, the only person that you will have is you. So don't betray that person. Truly, you are the only person that is here with you 24/7. And if you betray him, you betray the realest friend you have in your life. Now, I'm not saying for you to go isolate yourself. No, having human relationships is very important, but do not betray yourself in order to have other friendships or whatever. So yeah, that is the end of the video, bro. Let me know what you think. My communication skills, they need to they need some practice, I'm not gonna lie, especially my articulation skills, because I really like to ramble. You know, I have this like, I made this little not a script, but like bullet points to follow. Bro, I really went off script, of whatever, of my plan. But yeah, guys, I hope you have a great day. Love yourself, bro. Respect yourself. But yeah, I see you in the next video, my boy.